She wants to say something. She wants to talk. I'm on. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're
don't
here,
know
so
anything though, like why or how?
So we will not know the answer to that because we're not doctors. So what's going to happen is he's going to go to the medical examiner's office and he'll have what's called an autopsy.
Yeah.
That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot, there's no way I could say how, why.
So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple?
Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Lividity, you turn.
as soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body, and then it just comes very pronounced. So that's just called a public bleed. It happens every night.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
We
Like
look around. We have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what you need to do. Whatever you need to do, okay? And we can talk about that more in length, but yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then,
but like, I don't, like, this was totally, like, not intentional. Like, that's what I'm scared about too, like, hey.
We'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical examination.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because here we're going to see the difference. Now we've been talking to patrolmen or officers, whatever they're called, wherever they are, and they are there to sequester the scene, to make sure nobody crosses, to make sure everything's safe, and that nothing else happens in effect. They'll collect information, but the detectives, when they show up, are going to go after information immediately. I don't know if she can tell the difference. I know she knows that there's somebody else, but I don't know that she understands that delineation. A lot of people don't, and if you're ever dealing with a crime, you'll have to pay attention to know that difference. There's a lot of nervous energy, and there should be here for her. She's doing that thing I call the egg protector, and she's face touching a lot. She should be nervous because something's just changed. She may even be biting her nail. I couldn't tell. Whether she knows her now or not now, these guys are driving everything that happens. She starts trying to collect intel. She starts asking them questions. Do you know why? That's a really dangerous game if you are the perpetrator and you are in this situation. Because if I were talking to her, elicitation immediately, I would turn around and go, what would your guess be, Sarah? Boom. I would turn it right around on her. Or I would do a provocative statement. Well, we think it's cause, boom, just to see how she responded. That's awkward. And I think it's very difficult the way they respond. When they first start to respond, the woman says that, well, we'll know a lot more tomorrow as far as him. You could easily have just said, hey, what can you do to help us out? But they don't. They start down a different path, and we'll see where that goes over time. But as she gets more apprehensive, the thing I was just telling you, she's a great example of it because all this part of her body, all of the muscles from like intercostals and up are tightening and drawing her up to the point where her hands are in front of her face and she's shrinking. She's turning into this little image of herself, not even the same person. So she's now gone from a single mouth barrier to double praying hands at her mouth, showing that she's feeling more stress and she's rising. And when that isn't enough, sacred space, what I mean by sacred space is barriering and releasing nervous energy. She does both hands to her mouth. And then she does something really idiosyncratic. I'd look for this again. She does that thing where her chin boss pushes out and she puts her, like a little hamster or something, she puts her hands up under her jaw. It's a really weird thing that I've not seen that in people. So it's something for her. And then the guys say, well, we're here. Nothing's going to happen to you. They're already starting to move in the position of protector and caregiver and that. I'm not going to go over much more of this because there's a lot in here. But I do see her lower lip withdraw. And then I think this woman sees authority as like a kid talking to a principal. And I think if you play that right, you get something. If you play that wrong, you lose them. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, we're seeing a whole lot of fear. So if you just if you rewatch this clip with no sound and just say, are arteries and organs being protected regularly here? We're seeing a lot of that. And I think it's interesting. We hear the phrase, and I think I'm quoting this directly, like totally not intentional, like, which I thought was pretty interesting. And she's vacillating here, like Greg was saying, between the uterus and neck protection, back and forth, covering neck, covering the lower abdomen. And instead of using his name, she just becomes curious about the gurgling sound. Why? Not stressed about it, not worried about it, not traumatized by it, not shocked by it. Just wants a little science lesson there. I thought that was super strange. This is where, if I'm the detective, I might have a prop and have like one of those little tiny digital voice recorders and say, does this belong to you or your boyfriend? Do you know who placed it in the kitchen last night? Do you know why it was left on all night? And that just plants a mind virus. I might use like maybe a punishment, or I'm sorry, not a punishment question. I might use a leading question about this voice recorder. Maybe why was this left in the kitchen? Of course, she's not going to say it's hers. And this is planting a mind virus that she could not escape from, knowing that there's some kind of recording that could exist about what happened in that room last night. Just an interesting trick, I would say. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, you preempted me there, Chase, on the fillers. Normally, I preempt you. This time, you got in there early. However, I believe, in my estimation, you missed a couple out. What I got was, but like, this was totally not intentional, like, and then another like. In my estimation, there were a couple more likes in there, which only add more spice to what you've already stated there. For me, you know, if you like the Penelope pit stop, we now have, for the English viewers, a Vicky Pollard, which is this no but yeah but no but yeah but going on. I think that's what we have here. Once we get that, that's a surefire sign that there is somebody in big trouble here, because really all you need to say, instead of but like this was totally not intentional, like, and then another like, I mean there's bits in between, but those are the fillers. All you'd need to say was this was an accident. That's all. This was an accident. But there's so many fillers and negatives in there, or double negatives, that there's a red flag up for me, and that's all I got on that one. Scott, what do you got?
I agree, Mark. I think there's a little Britain in her.
yeah, there is.
Anyway, so now she's back to looking worried, and she wants to know what the cops know. So her body language has gone back, like you guys been saying, to this protection mode. And she's covering her stomach, and she's touching her face, and I'm just going over what you guys have gone over before. But she's very still up to a point. To compared to what she's been through so far, she's very still until it goes off the rail, not off the rails, but it starts getting sort of hyped up here in a couple of minutes. And we see some more of the classic stress behaviors with the adapters, rubbing her arm, pulling on her arm, her hands covering her neck. And Greg, I've seen little children do that. She does a lot of things little kids do. So that's, I don't know. That's the only time I've seen that, is just when I just remember when I first saw that, I said, oh, I know a little kid that used to do that when she was a little kid. And also when the detective is explaining how she'll have time to do the things she needs to do, she says, run. And I thought for sure that somebody would call it out and go, yeah, like she's going to run off. But I think she's probably a runner, looking at those shorts he has on. Maybe she exercises, maybe she jogs or something, or runs around the neighborhood or something. But I think that's what she's talking about at that point. But she's not thinking about running off, like fleeing or anything like that. You guys covered most everything, so I'll leave it there.
Get put your tuna.
She wants to say something. She wants to call someone. Yeah.
Well, we're
Don't
here,
know
so
anything though, like why or how?
So we will not know the answer to that because we're not doctors. So what's going to happen is he's going to go to the medical examiner's office, and he'll have what's called an autopsy.
Yeah.
That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot, there's no way I could say how, why.
So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple?
Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Lividity needs to turn.
as soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body. And then it just comes demonstrated now. So that's just called a public good. It happens every night.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
You
Like
have, look around, you have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what you need to do. Whatever you need to do, okay? And we can talk about that more in length, but yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then,
But like, I don't, like, this was totally like not intentional. Like, that's what I'm scared about too. Like, hey.
We'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical examination.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.